recording. Okay. All right. All right. So there's I guess there's really two stages of the manufacturing process on this, right? And this is almost a manufacturing process, like in the way that I think about it. Do you know what I mean by that?
Manufacturing process.
Yeah.
So like coming up with like what keywords and which ones to put together or
Yeah. So when I say manufacturing, like here's what I mean. And by the way, I'm recording this because I'm not just I mean I'm teaching you this, but this is going to be for anybody that I might want to have this do with this anyway. So when I say manufacturing process, like here's what I mean, right? So like if you think about a manufacturing process, like let's say we're manufacturing pens, right? Well, you start with the base ingredients. It's like a recipe, right? Like just or you could even think of it cooking, right? Like so, we're making soup, right? So you start with the meat, the soup bones. You make the broth. Then you add the vegetables, and then maybe you're cooking the meat and you put it in there, and so on and so forth. At the end, you follow the recipe and you get the result, right? Which
right.
is so it's pretty formulaic. When I say this is a manufacturing process, it's pretty formulaic in what we're doing, right? Um, and that's all I mean by that. So, when you think about like here are the base components really of SEO. Like what is SEO? Like what is it that you need to do to rank in Google? And it's a little different for Google My Business than it is um, for a blog, like you're trying to rank on the internet on just Google search traffic. Um, I know less about Google My Business, but I have a feeling that probably the core building blocks are pretty much the same, right? Um, so there's four core components to ranking in Google, and it's a little bit different for local service companies than it is for um, somebody that sells and does business nationally, right? Or could rank nationally. It's an important distinction, right? That there are keywords that we could go for that are national in scope and in nature, and there are keywords that we could pursue and go for that are local, right? Um, and and for our purposes right now, we're thinking about local, right? Um,
Mhm.
and so we want to be ranking for things like landscapers Dallas, right? Or Dallas landscaping companies, right? And what you'll find is that there are hundreds of iterations of these same words. And what you can do is you can cluster those keywords together into a piece of content. You write the content using a different software, which I'll show you in a minute here, and you produce that content, and then it'll rank. But the four pillars kind of ranking, especially for like local service companies, is one, the keywords themselves. So you're not going to rank for landscaping Dallas if you don't have those keywords or the right title tags or the right, so on and so forth for that particular keyword. And you can pause me if I'm going too fast or there's anything that isn't really making sense. Okay, so if we want to rank for landscapers Dallas, probably one of the headlines or one of the major um, you know uh, titles for it would be actually landscapers Dallas, right? Very likely. Um, from there, then you have the body content of the actual article itself, and you can put even more keywords that are tangentially related to it. So, like if we said landscaping Dallas Landscape Company, and we're trying to rank for all of these different keywords. Um, uh, Actually, let me back up. Are you? Is this all making sense so far, at least?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So, just again, the four pillars for ranking content that generates traffic that turns into leads, which is what this is really about. Um, One, you have the content itself with the keywords that allow Google to actually find your article for the relevant keywords when people are searching those search terms, right?
Hmm.
That's a core pillar. It's probably one of the biggest levers we can actually pull to get rankings and get leads. The second is going to be backlinks. So you remember how we had that article with Redfin where they link back to our website?
Right.
That's what you call that creates what's called a backlink. And the way that Google works, so that you understand, the way that Google works is the more that other websites that are in the space link back to your website, that is a indication or sign for Google saying, hey, this person is an authority in the space and they know what they're talking about, right?
Uh-huh.
So it's kind of like, you know how you have peer review in like research papers and so on and so forth? It's structured the same way. So the more that a particular article or a person is linked to from other people in the research community in a particular subsector, the more authoritative or the more important um, people look at that work in that space. So it's the same thing on the internet, right? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Where you have lots of authority, you have what's called kind of a authority score, right? And this is a tool that we use. It's called Ahrefs. There are others out there. So here's a website that I own, um, and for relevancy factors, right? Like I just want to show you what's kind of important here, what's relevant. So um, you can see here, this is not exactly 100% accurate. This is like a proxy for what I have, right? But you can kind of see here, okay, we've got a domain ranking. The domain ranking is basically across all of the pages that a website has on a scale of 1 to 100 in that space, how high is this person ranked in terms of authority, right? So 12 out of 100 isn't great, but it's not, frankly, it's not terrible.
Hmm.
The UR um, is the particular, so like here, this is the home page. So the UR is the ranking for the page that we're talking about here. So my ranking for this page is at 25 out of 100, which is pretty good, right? It's better. Moving over here, you have backlinks. So these are other websites that link back to mine. You can see here we've got 10,000 backlinks. Um, there's a lot of website crawlers that link back to you, and so that's where some of these come from. Um, the referring domains is the unique number of domains that are actually referring back to your website.
Hmm.
Um, Ahrefs crawls and says, well, this person's ranking for these keywords, and this is our proxy. By the way, this is off by a factor of 3 for my
Mm.
website, but it gives you a proxy of traffic, right? And then based on that traffic that it gets, it says, okay, here is the traffic value. Here's what we think the traffic is worth that this website is generating, right?
Mhm.
So it's saying that I get about 3,000 or $3,200 worth of traffic based on this traffic count. And the way they come up with this number basically is they say, okay, well, if you were to pay per click for the amount of traffic that this website is generating, what's the dollar figure to that? And that's how they come up with this number, right? So is this all making sense, this whole top row here?
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure you'll reference back to this later, but how is the traffic value, like the pay-per-click value, how is that relevant?
So, yeah, so that it's a good question, and here's why it's kind of relevant. So when we're doing keyword research, um, what I many times will do is I will go to a website, let's just say something like keenlandscaping.com. I think this is their website. I might be wrong. Okay, so if you go here, right, here's their website. They've got a strong domain ranking on a relative basis. They've got a strong UR ranking. They don't have that many backlinks. They've got this many referring domains. That's interesting. So they've only
Mm.
got 3,700 keywords, but look at their traffic value. right?
Mm.
Now, but they're saying they run ads and they're spending 7 or 8 grand a month in ads to get that traffic, which is actually a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the reason that the traffic value is relevant is really because it tells you when other people pay for keywords, it tells you
Mm-hmm.
that that traffic has value. If
Okay.
nobody's paying for a keyword on a pay-per-click basis, it's kind of an indication from the market that either nobody's figured out how to make money on that traffic, or that traffic isn't worth very much, right?
Okay.
So like if you can imagine, right? So like if I rank for the keyword um, bruh, let's just say,
Hmm.
I might get a lot of traffic, but it's not worth shit. It's not going to be worth anything, right?
Right.
But if I rank for the keyword landscapers in Dallas, that person has probably got a credit card in hand. They're pretty ready, just about ready to actually spend money, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So like what I do is I would go through this, and here's how you do it. So like you pick competitors, and then you can go down to the organic keywords, um, and you will see here a list of all the keywords that Ahrefs thinks that they rank for, right? And typically what I'm doing is I'm saying I want to sort for anything that has um, a cost per click. Because if it doesn't have a cost per click, they're ranking for it, but it's probably not worth much, right?
Mm.
All right. So here's the relevant things to pay attention to. And this is what this stuff means. So you have the keyword here, right? You
Hmm.
have the estimated volume, and by the way, these can be pretty wrong in terms of like what the actual volume actually is, but this is
Okay.
their estimate of the search volume, and it's a monthly
Okay.
search volume. Um, so 34 or 44,000 searches a month for tech ideas, right? That's a lot of volume. For our purposes, especially when it comes down to like local stuff, anything above, let's say, 100 searches a month, sometimes even 50 searches a month, is probably not a bad keyword to pursue.
Mm.
The higher the cost per click, the more value. So yeah, pool repair Plano, like this is a good example of something that we should be looking at. Very high cost per click, decent search volume, right? More than 100. Um, the, the the most useful thing here is probably these three, right? So the KD is keyword difficulty, and it's a scale of 1 to 100, right? So what we want to be looking for are things that we can rank for pretty quickly without really a lot of challenge or issues, right? Um, and uh, and here we have something with 150 search volume, a relatively low KD of 2. So like if we were to write an article about pool repair Plano like today, we could rank
Hmm.
for it like this week or tomorrow, and this is like the KD is like on a scale of 1 to 100, how difficult is it to get in the top 10?
Mm.
Right? So it's not getting to number 1, but it's getting in the top 10, right?
Wait, so lower the number means,
The more that we want to pursue it,
okay, I see.
right? So like just looking at this here, like um, there's a lot of good keywords that these guys are ranking for. They're not doing it on purpose because these guys aren't even in the pool business.
Mm.
Um, it tells you what position they are, right? Um, but like Dallas pool repair, this is a great keyword for us. 200, you know, um, 200 search, a keyword difficulty of 4, of 6, and look at the cost per click. That's 24.50, $23, whatever, right?
Mm.
So this one would be less so, good for us. But anything, for our purposes, anything under 30 is kind of fair game.
Okay.
Okay, so is this all making sense so far?
Yeah.
Do you have any questions?
No, not right now.
All right. So what we want to do from this, we want to make this actionable, right? Because we need to be able to figure out like how do we turn this into leads and then dollars, right?
Hmm.
So like this is a really good keyword, Dallas sprinkler repair. We get 350 in search volume. People are paying $22 per click for this, and it's not that hard to rank in the top 10 pack, right?
Okay.
What you want to do is create clusters of keywords, right? So you can do it by location. You can do it by, I mean, like something like this. We should probably look at doing this as its own article. So like Dallas sprinkler repair.
Hmm.
What you can do is you can click on a keyword and
Hmm.
look at all of the different keywords that kind of incorporate these ideas, right?
Okay.
So like sprinkler repair Dallas, we've got, you know, 400 on search volume. Right, so you see there's like small Dallas sprinkler repair and sprinkler repair Dallas. That would be one article. Dallas
Okay. Yeah.
sprinkler system repair. That's one article, right? And if we go back to, if it will load, come on. Okay, and then we can you can do keywords here, so you can just say sprinkler and just see what comes up, right?
Hmm.
So sprinkler repair Dallas, Dallas sprinkler repair, sprinkler system repair company,
Mm.
sprinkler installation Dallas. This doesn't have a lot of volume, but that's a high dollar, that's a high ticket um, deal, right?
Mm.
So if you got a zero, you could rank for that tomorrow, right?
Mm.
So sprinkler repair Allen, um, Plano. So it would probably be worth doing an article like just, and I'm looking at this and I'm just saying like, okay, here's some ideas, right? But it would probably like all of these are like we've got a main idea and then we've got geographies that are tied to it, right?
Mm.
And so you can either write there's two ways to think about this, right? You could do basically sprinkler repair and then include keywords for Dallas, Frisco, Plano, Allen, dot, 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 right?
Okay.
Or you could do basically Dallas and then write articles kind of geared towards different services that you'd offer in Dallas.
Okay.
So once you select your keywords, let's just do this here. And I will show you this is exactly how this works, right? So once you identify the keywords that you want to do, and you just grab 20 keywords um, that you want to incorporate, and
Hmm.
so we'll say, all right. So you can see I've been busy kind of building out keywords, and we will do sprinkler. Okay, do you know what Boolean is? Boolean search.
No.
Okay, Boolean search is like, this is the stuff that librarians do. So like when I type this little asterisk there, it means
Uh,
wildcard,
oh, okay.
right?
Which does what?
It says any variation of sprinkler
Yeah.
should be populated here,
Okay.
right? So I would look at this keyword, um, sprinkler repair Frisco. I can click on this and say, okay, what other keywords are we in here on? Sprinkler repair Frisco, Texas. Decent cost per click, right?
Uh-huh.
Um, so what you do is let's just say we're gonna grab these. Um, what you do is so you could just copy and paste that in there,
Mm-hmm.
and then you put a comma down here, and that what we're doing here is creating we're telling this system, so this is an SEO surfer. We're telling this basically what keywords we are trying to target
Okay.
in the content, right? And so you could do variations of this: Frisco sprinkler repair. Hmm. Um, okay, yes, those two. And typically you want to grab 20 because that's a
Okay.
limitation on the number of keywords you can put in here, and it'll spit something out.
Okay.
So if we go back to here, and we do this again, and we say sprinkler, sprinkler repair Dallas. We'll throw that in here. Dallas sprinkler repair. Plano. And you see these are all like really low difficulty.
Right.
These are good keywords to kind of go after.
Okay.
Highland Park, lawn sprinkler Highland Park. Okay. So like right now we're putting together two ideas, right? Um, the two ideas that we're marrying together are sprinkler repair or sprinkler system or something or other and
Mm-hmm.
location. So like I wouldn't probably want to do rain sensor for sprinkler system because it's
Okay.
outside of the logical clustering of this. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah. So that would be more of a search that somebody would make maybe to find information, but not necessarily like ready to make a purchase.
Right,
I saw the low cost per click. So maybe that's like one way to interpret it.
right. So right, and you can just do this for any different thing. And so what it'll do is so it shows you what keywords do we try to target, right? And you may not always come up with 20 keywords, but that's the max, right?
Okay. So while that loads, how often do you want to be posting these articles?
At least once a week.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, at least once a week, but then we should be. Um, at least once a week. Um,
Yeah. And how long would you say they should be?
it'll tell you. So while this loads, it'll tell you almost exactly what to write. You know
Okay.
what the heading should be, and so on and so forth. Um, so like here, landscaper Dallas, like that's a good one. So we would do landscape companies Dallas. But um, you see these are a bit higher in terms of their keyword difficulty.
Yeah.
Not that you can't rank for stuff like this. It just takes more time. When you the thing to do is start off with um, low difficulty rankings, right?
Okay.
You get the content out there, and then what you do is when let's see. So I'll show you an example because this is already fully flushed out, right? I'll do uh, my own site, and I'll navigate to a page. Let's see. So after you publish the content,
Mm-hmm.
um, we'll see what this comes up with. So here we have, this isn't a great example. Um, yeah, this is a good one. Okay. So when the content that you publish starts ranking for keywords, it may not actually even be the keywords that you were pursuing.
Mm.
But when it starts to do that, then what you do is you optimize the content for what Google is saying you're ranking for in that particular page. So like for here, um, we should look at. So I've got 199 keywords for this one particular piece of content, and we're getting traffic on this, right? So like here, I'm at position 53. There's a keyword difficulty of 6, and it gets good traffic, and it has a cost per click tied to it. So I would maybe try to optimize my content for sales multiplier, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So then the way you would do that is you would go into, okay, so here we go. Yep. All right. So here's the way to do this. So this is like starting from scratch, right? So it's saying the
Mm-hmm.
optimal number of keywords is between 3,000 or words is between 3,000 and 3,500. Here are all the keywords that we need to incorporate into this,
Uh-huh.
or we would want to incorporate into this to start to get this content ranking up. And the key takeaway from this is you see we're at 7 out of 100 with just this word on it, right? You're at
Yeah.
7 out of 100. You want to be at 70 out of 100. If you're at 70 out of 100, you will rank for stuff on those. So you start off with, oh, come on, repair Frisco. Okay, and you got to turn this into a heading.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you see we're green here now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, look at what happened. We jumped up on our score,
I see.
right? So it's pretty intuitive. And so, right, so um, you kind of just follow the template here. You create the content that you know makes sense logically, but is also like fitting within the parameters of what this is telling you to do,
Right.
right? So we say sprinkler repair Frisco. Then it's a paragraph. If you're looking for sprinkler repairs in Frisco, Texas, you should think about blah, right?
Hmm.
Um, when we think about sprinkler system, there are, or maybe even you do it a different way, right? Because you're trying to match what they want here, right?
Right.
So sprinkler system, a sprinkler system really has typically four components to it. One, drip lines, drip zone, drip lines. Um, Sprinkler heads, right? I don't know.
Right.
Control panel. Let's see what else we got here. So, like Andy's sprinklers, like I don't know that it makes sense to talk about the competitor, but that is a competitor, right?
Yeah.
Um, right. Here's another competitor.
Right, but basically incorporate those, and then that little number where it's like zero slash and then the number, you kind of want to have it featured in the article that amount of times.
Yeah, exactly. And if you go over it,
Okay.
actually take down the score. Um,
Okay.
right. So, um, irrigation system. Right. Um,
Hmm.
so it kind of tells you like what the headings need to be, and that gives you guidance on like what the paragraph should actually be, right?
Okay.
Um, and then you go up here, just pay attention to this stuff. So headings. I don't know if this is even updated. Paragraphs, images, and words. So
Mhm.
this will help move the score up. But that's basically what you do, right? Um, so you create the content in here, and then when you're done, creating that content, we go put it on the website, and then once it's up on the website, it'll begin to rank probably within a week or two for certain keywords. And then what you do from there is you'll go back into this based on the keywords that we're ranking for.
Uh-huh.
You look at the keyword difficulty, kind of the cost per click, and the volume, and then you go and you start adding other keywords or optimizing the content even further. So it's kind of an iterative process, right?
Hmm.
So it's pretty simple, right?
Right.
Are there any you have any questions right now in terms of how this works, why we're doing what we're doing? Um,
No. Um, okay, so I do have a question. a little bit more technical here, but what's that NLP section? It's like next to all headings and then NLP.
Yeah, the NLP stands for natural language processing.
Okay,
Um, it's just it's there. It's the same thing almost here, but
got it.
I don't know why they broke it out, honestly. And maybe it's a good question, but I don't really have an answer for you on it.
Okay,
So,
yeah, but this makes sense.
okay. Um, and so, what I would suggest here as well is, part of this is building out content. The other part is doing the keyword research. And when it comes to keyword research, like what you do typically is you say like keen landscaping, go here, um, and you can look at what are their top page. Well, I guess we don't pay for this. Uh, no, let's go to competing pages. Let's see if we can get that. Okay, right. So, do you see where I'm at here? So this is a competitor, and we're mining our competitor sites for keywords that we want to use, right?
Mhm.
And so, what this website does is it keeps track of all these different websites, and what you can do is you can go to competing pages down here, and like if we're mining Keen Landscape and we go to Lawn to Dallas, you take this, you plug it back into here, and you pull up theirs, and so there's just an endless, um, there's an endless list of competitors you can mine keywords for, right?
Okay.
Lawns of Dallas, Dallas lawns, da da da, all this stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I sort by volume. I want to see a cost per click of better than 1 penny. So, by the way, they're ranking for this probably because this is a client of theirs, Living Spaces. Because somewhere or another, there's probably a link between these two companies, which is
Okay.
which is why they're actually ranking for that. Um, Same with these guys. Commercial tree service. Go ahead and add that. Fall landscape. Okay. Yeah. So landscaping Dallas, Georgia is not going to help us, right?
Right.
So, I mean, that's really in a nutshell kind of what we're doing here. And what I would say is, when we create the content, we should post it both in on our blog, but also in Google My Business,
Okay.
and that'll be something I'll help you. I mean, I've got to do some work on that myself just to figure out what to do exactly, and then we'll create a process for it, and then you can just post the stuff there um, in Google My Business. Um, so do you feel like you have a pretty good understanding of what we're doing here?
Yeah.
Pretty intuitive, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So for this week, then, can you get this article written?
Okay.
And let me know when you're done with it, and then we can just kind of like, and if you have questions on like, different things, but To be honest with you, if you were to Google this, like you can, um, even here, I think if you Google, like if you Google sprinklers Frisco or
Hmm.
something like that. I don't know what keyword are we going for here. Sprinkler repair Frisco. So we'll click on this keyword, and you can see, okay, um, here, what are they talking about? That's Yelp. They're not going to, they don't really do content. Um,
Hmm.
sprinklerdrainage.com. And you can just like look at their content and model it after really kind of what they're doing, right?
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, you just pull up the keyword, you scroll down here, here are the top 10 results. Okay, this is probably a real company. What do they got? Let's see, there you go. Make sense?
Yes.
Cool. Okay, so is there anything else that I want to go over? Let's see. I don't think so. I think we pretty much covered everything. All right, well, I'll see you tonight, okay?
Okay.
All right, and I'll send you a recording of this.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.